In the summer of 2023, three Subaru Ambassadors, Robert, Will, and Nick, went on an epic adventure they dedicated to the National Park Foundation. After returning from a cold and dreary night outside of Wasatch National Forest, we then had a cold and dreary night outside of Arches National Park. We woke up to a wet but beautiful morning and continued our adventure. So here we are having camp breakfast, which is really cool. And this gentleman right over here is doing our cooking today. We were all very happy. We're doing our eating over here. Yep. And Will's usually the one who gets up early and starts with the cleanup of the area. So we've just barely woken up and we've already picked up a whole bunch of trash because not just do we believe in leaving no traces, we hope all of you do, but we got another big piece over there we got to pick up. But we also believe in trying to leave things better than they were when we got here. Make the areas enjoyable, all these great public use lands enjoyable for everyone. So we hope you all join us in that mindset. Not just don't leave anything, but pick up a piece or two of someone else's trash to help make everything better for everyone else. And those of you who are new to this, please don't leave trash out here. Make it pretty and pristine for everyone. We had a little bit of a trail repair we had to do on the trail. A little bit of work to do on the car still. Josh is over there setting up his camp shower to do a shower in the rain. He's a bit more adventurous than me. Today I'm going to town. I brought my camp shower too, but it's cold and wet and nasty.
Yes. Well, you know what? And two have we all have. Alright, quit bragging.
Our pots though don't have Pam.
Mine don't need Pam.
So here we go with our camp breakfast. Will is making us pancakes this morning.
I said that on camera. I guess I'm not getting any Pam sponsorship anytime soon.
Yeah. They're like, you guys are on your own out there.
So we drink chocolate chips. I got Hershey bars.
Let's get after it.
Just say it.
I'm a genius.
I'm gonna plug the weapon into that.
Well, how are your shoes?
So it may be a rainy, dreary morning, but as you can tell, the scenery is still utterly gorgeous. Across the road there, this is Gemini Bridges. We were up there last night. It's a gorgeous place. Over in the far distance, in the clouds here, are the LaSalle Mountains way back, and Arches National Park. We are camping off of the dispersed campsite off of BLM 378. Willow Springs Road is how it's signed on the off of Route 191, and that trail there leads into Arches. It becomes semi-impassable though in the rain. After breakfast, we headed out onto BLM 378. It wasn't very long before we ran into our first obstacle as BLM 378 turned into a wash. After a little deliberation, and because my suspension repairs weren't quite yet dialed in, we decided to send the much lighter Forester Wilderness across first, especially since I had the winch in case anything went wrong. After the Forester Wilderness made it with ease, the rest of us followed. As we approached the entrance to Arches National Park, we found a 3-foot deep bowl depression in the middle of the trail. It took some careful navigating to not drag our fronts or rears on the rocks. As Josh takes his Forester Wilderness into the bowl, you get a better idea of how steep and deep it really was. Finally, I dragged my big, heavy Ascent into the rock bowl and out the other side. One cool thing was watching my torque locker keep both rear wheels spinning evenly at a point where one would be slipping quickly until the Ascent's all-wheel drive system locked it. That has got to be the least steady video I have ever shot. Finally, after a stop at Willow Springs Dinosaur Tracksite, we headed into the main part of Arches National Park, happy that our Subies got us to yet another place most people don't get a chance to see. If you're industrious like us and you take the 4x4 trails in Arches, when you come out of them, there is a beautiful lunch spot right over here with an utterly stunning view. And some barbecue grills if, unlike us, you don't bring things to cook on. Just bring the things to cook and use their barbecue grills. The next day, we decided to explore the Cathedral Valley off-road loop. It is a windy, ever-changing trail that loops through Cathedral Valley and the eastern part of the Capitol Reef National Park. On our way through Hartnett Road, we met some people driving a big Ram pickup truck who didn't think they could make it through the water crossing. Remember, it is always best to not off-road beyond your skill levels. There's nothing wrong with their decision to not attempt the water crossing. For those of you who don't know, Hartnett Road is underwater for a portion of it that runs through the Paria River. I walked the entirety of the water crossing barefoot to test it out, and I also happen to be familiar with this particular water crossing. Regardless, it should be unsurprising that our Subies made it through easily. Once on the other side, the landscape began to change, and we encountered some rain-worn bentonite clay hills. Hills like this would be a recurring theme for a while. We continued out of the Paria River Valley and towards the desert and foothills of the mountains. Along the way, we encountered numerous washes, some very wide and mud-filled. Others were pretty narrow and sharper-sighted. Regardless, though it might not look difficult, it takes a good all-wheel drive system to claw its way out of mud, silt, and sand-filled washes. The landscape had gotten a lot more desolate with just shrubs and light surface level greenery as far as the eye could see. As quickly as the last time, the landscape changed yet again to a barren sand and clay wasteland. We decided to stop at a favorite spot of Cathedral Valley Loop explorers, the site of a long-abandoned drilling rig truck. Hidden behind it is a cattle irrigation pool. After checking out the truck-turned landscape, with the sun getting closer to setting, we decided to head out to camp. After a few more miles of sandy desolation, we reached a notch in one of the hills and suddenly entered a different world. Finally, we reached the much-talked-about Bentonite Hills. The landscape change was once again radically different and quick. As we pass over the trail, you can see the broken clay from our tires as we sink through the drying top layer into the clay mush below. The climbs were steep and slippery, with our Subies fighting for purchase to avoid sliding left or right. On top of one of the highest mounds and best views is a rock formation seen in many pics online. We opted not to stop to avoid sinking into the clay as we sat stationary. The phenomenal colors of the clay mounds and mineral striated throughout them caused a spectacular view that went well with the gorgeous sunset. One neat thing we learned is that these clay hills are hardly solid. You can see the rivulets worn in them by the rain. They're so not solid that you could literally reach out and grab a chunk off the side of a hill. Not that I'd suggest that. Once again, the landscape quickly changed and we were surrounded by shrubs, sand, and eventually dirt. Finally, as we neared camp at dusk, the trail started getting mountainous as we reached our campsite at a little over 7,000 feet elevation. It doesn't look it from the video, but we climbed over 4,400 feet to get from the start of the trail to the campground. Stay tuned for part 3 of our adventure, where we head down from the mountains into Cathedral Valley, check out Glass Mountain and Temples of the Sun and the Moon, as well as Grand Staircase Escalante. Also find out if we got stuck when things started getting rocky, or if our primitive racing skid plates managed to save the day and we made our way through these obstacles. And for those of you wondering about our builds, here they are with all the details. A very special thank you to Mark Miller Subaru in Salt Lake, Utah, and to Subaru Wyoming Valley in Plains, Pennsylvania. A very big thank you to Torque Masters for the torque locker that helps make my car move, and to Primitive Racing for making the skid plates we used and abused on all of the cars on this adventure. Personal thanks from me to AZP Installs in Kenilworth, New Jersey, and Discount Tire. And as always, heartfelt thanks to Subaru of America.